It was 10 years ago that the last six-player game was contested in the barn. The once popular format gave way to the five-player game, but in some corners there remains a fondness for the way it used to be. Our story begins in Montezuma.
This is one of the signs that used to be out on the edge of town on the four entrances as you came into Montezuma.
Montezuma Athletic Director Al Rabinold's garage is a mini museum, a shrine of sorts to girls who played six-player basketball.
It's kind of neat when you pull in, you reminisce a little bit. You see some of your classmates from 1969 and some of the outstanding ball players. And of course, number 51 is one of my good friends that lives in Florida now as a school teacher, Brenda Hamer-Spelios.
March 1969, the finals of the Iowa Girls High School Basketball Tournament. Montezuma against Allison Bristow.
There was something sacred about 6-on-6 that had to do with high school girls. And back then, the sport of basketball was the only sport that girls knew. I haven't played since 1969. I have been back, and I come back for the reunions usually.
Go Big Blue? Yeah. Go Big Blue!
What was special about tonight is that so many girls came back from so many years, and a lot of them I didn't even know.
1969, all the way from Florida, number 51, Brenda Spelios.
3 forwards on one end, 3 guards on the other end.
And they couldn't cross the half-court line, and they could only dribble twice.
But it's nice to honor the history of 6-on-6 now. And so many people that watched this play came up tonight and said, you know, it's worth it just to sit there and to watch that kind of game again.
In the early 80s, times began to change.
3 junior high school girls down in southern Iowa took us into litigation in federal district court, alleging that we were discriminating by only playing the 6-player game.
And you couldn't possibly run up and down the court. You couldn't possibly dribble more than twice. Or,
Shauna Shields, a Lamoni freshman in the early 80s, was one of 3 girls to sue the union.
I was perfectly capable of both doing offense and defense.
Look, let's offer both programs, and that way we won't discriminate. Plus, we will toss the ball into their court. Each school will choose what they want to play, 5-player or 6-player. The moment we made the proposal to the judge serving on the federal district court, he says, the case is moot, I'm tossing it out, there is no discrimination.
I didn't think it would happen fast enough for me to ever be able to play, but I thought it would happen maybe within 5 years. I was a little bit surprised to see it take 10.
We had successfully preserved the 6-player game, and it lasted for another 10 years.
In 1993, Hubbard Radcliffe beat Atlantic 85-66. It was the final 6-player game ever played in Iowa.
Until finally, we made the announcement that all schools would play 5-player basketball.
Change is not always progress, but I guess it was inevitable.
Montezuma is the champion of girls basketball for 1969, and look at them, the winners and losers.
When Carol and I stood out there and held that trophy, we looked at each other and we said, it's like yesterday that we did this, but she said, oh, if we had known then what we know now, we would have made it last just a little longer.
Monday at 6, we hear from Jan Jensen, one of the greatest to ever play the 6-player game.